Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast, where I, your host, Xavier Cruz, a lifelong wrestling fan, will take a lifelong friend through the action, the joys, and the drama of the world of professional wrestling. My co-host, Kelsey Silva, has been bitten by the wrestling bug, and I want to invite you to join us as I take her through the moments that made me a fan. So if you're new to wrestling and would like to get brought up to speed, or a fan who would like to relive some classic matches, promos, and segments through fresh eyes, join us as we embark on a journey through the Attitude Era and beyond. Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the New to Wrestling podcast. This week, we watched the December 23rd, 1996 edition of Monday Night Raw, and the match card is as follows. In our opener, we had Marc Mero versus Triple H for the Intercontinental Championship. In our second match, we had Rocky Maivia taking on Salvatore Sincere. In our third match, we had a tag team match, which featured Piroth and Cybernetico of AAA taking on the New Rockers. And in our main event, we had Fake Razor Ramon taking on Bret the Hitman Hart. All right. All right. So this one was, I feel like a pretty solid mix, both wise, wrestling and like extras going on.
Yeah, there were some flavors. There
was definitely, yes, a couple flavors. We'll go with that. So in our opening contest, we saw Marc Mero with Sable taking on Triple H. So this has been an ongoing feud for a hot minute. As we know, Triple H was the one who dethroned Marc Mero for the Intercontinental Championship with the help of the now
extinct
missing Mr. Perfect, who just disappeared, really.
This is the last time I'm going to say it, but I literally never saw him wrestle, not even one time.
I know, it is so sad.
What a crime.
So sad.
And I don't think I'm going to ever go back and watch a clip because I feel like I just have to let it live like this forever. Like, I just feel like I have to ride this.
No, I mean, I think he comes back in like 2002 or 2001 or something.
He comes back?
Oh, he comes back.
Girl.
I know. Not for long, but for a little bit.
Okay.
So this has been an ongoing feud for a hot minute, which got even more complicated last week with the involvement of Goldust, Jerry the King Lawler, and the Karate Fighters finale, and all of the chaos that ensued with that.
God, the Karate Fighters finale, who knew?
Who was going to bring such tea?
Like, and we were the whole time, all those weeks, we were like, God, what is this? This is so random. Who knew it would be the nuke in the middle of the ring?
Amen. So we would be remiss if we did not mention Sable's fit today. Go ahead.
Wow.
Go ahead, girl.
So she's clearly into jumpsuits recently. But she wore another shiny pleather jumpsuit. I'm assuming it's pleather, like, or some sort of something.
I have no idea. It's 1996. It could very well be just straight up leather.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, material unknown. Either way, sorry, PETA, but material unknown.
They're not listening to this.
Yeah, it's fine. But the front, I mean, obviously stunning. She did another kind of choker moment, but not quite as dramatic as Karate Fighters. But I was like, oh, it's beautiful. Love it. Hair all the way up, like some jaunty, like curls, whatever. And then she turned around. The jumpsuit was backless, girl. Backless all the way down to a V right above her butt. Like, back out.
She said straight shot right down Main Street. She said, hey.
What I'm saying. Right here. The V.
She said, where are you looking? Right here.
Right here. And it felt like you were shot because she was like just walking and then she suddenly just like whipped around. You were like, oh God. Oh my God, her back. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
Jesus. Incredible. Amazing. I never get tired of talking about how amazing she is. So
no, because
anyway,
we've said this before and we'll say it again. We're here for Sable. Marc Mero is just here.
Yeah, it's so true. It's just like,
because he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal wrestler. It's not even, it has nothing to do with his ability. We just love Sable that much more.
So true. She is all the personality, and somehow he has such a big personality, and still she is like the one that I'm just like, wow. I'm
Right.
just looking
Just
at her.
absolutely enthralled with.
And again, like you said, he's very talented, but that girl had no back on her jumpsuit. What
That's
would you have me do? What would
right.
you have
Where
me
would you
do?
like my eyes to go?
Swear to God, I'm just a girl.
So because of Triple H's hijinks in the last couple defenses of the Intercontinental Championship, there was a stipulation added to this match that if he is disqualified or counted out, he will lose the Intercontinental Championship, which effectively makes the championship advantage a moot point.
Yeah,
So,
love to
right,
see it.
love to
Honestly.
see it because he can't skirt his way out of this one.
With his
Right.
little greasy little waves.
Amen. So it was announced that Goldust will be facing the winner of this match at the Royal Rumble for the Intercontinental Championship. And with that announcement, after the two wrestlers in the match make their entrances, Goldust music hits. And we're all very confused. The two participants in the ring are very confused. And Goldust and Marlena come down and find themselves a seat. And not
A
just a
la
seat.
Ahmed Johnson.
Oh, a la Ahmed Johnson. They were
Move.
they were like, we got tickets to see this one. And so they sit down and there's just a gold spotlight just all over the two of them
And they're just like,
for the entirety of the match.
yeah.
Because typically during the matches, the crowd goes dark or the house lighting goes down. Except every time they cut to like the hard camera, which is like the wide shot, you just see them just shining, just
Like a
absolutely
beacon.
glistening.
It's amazing. Because
And,
obviously they came out costumed up,
oh,
makeup on, wig attached. Like,
oh,
well, actually not attached, but wig on.
right,
And
right, right, right.
Marlena, the dress, the looks, like they were glittered, glammed, ready to watch.
100%. They were prepared. They were like, ooh, I want to be all over this one
Yeah.
because
And I'm gonna bang a fit regardless.
yeah, well, that's just a given with the two of them.
I
Like
love that about that.
no, because if there's
Love that
anybody
about
that
them.
loves to bang a fit, it is my co-host Kelsey Silva.
I'm like, oh man, like, stop.
She when I lives for it.
I do live for it though, because like how do you not live for it? It's just like I don't
Oh
know, like to
no.
bang a fit. It's like life.
No, and I've been asked like separately like from you like does she just like do yes she just does that for every occasion. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. She's leaving the house. There was thought put into it.
The shoes match the bag with the dress and the makeup. Like the things come together, the looks are preordained. I'm laying in bed at night thinking about my dark thoughts and my looks I'm gonna put together.
100%.
Oh my
Absolutely.
god.
And every day she grows a little bit stronger with every new look.
Why is that so true? Ew. Gross.
So this match was very back and forth between the two of them. We do have a hilarious moment where Marc Mero drops Triple H and then proceeds to just turn his attention to Jerry the King Lawler.
So
And
good.
so much so to the point where he chases him like behind the announce desk, is like getting caught up in like camera wires
Wires,
and like
yeah.
mic wires, and then proceeds to chase him out of the arena. Just chase him with a little tail tucked between his legs. He was outie.
Yeah. He is
Yeah.
very I realize, and we might have talked about this, but I don't remember. He really does, Jerry the King, give me Fred Flintstone vibes now that I really look at him.
Oh wow. I don't think
And
we've talked about this.
he really does give that yabba dabba doo skirt with the run. Like
Mm,
like how he
absolutely.
made like Fred Flintstone like propels the car. He
Mm-hmm.
does have that short
Right.
legs but run fast kind of
Oh,
vibration for sure.
Jerry. Jerry's a scurrier.
Ooh, he's scurrier for sure. Oh my god, yeah.
He's like a little like meerkat or something. Like the second like danger like comes by, he like hides. Just
Yeah,
head in
for
the
sure.
hole.
He is there is no fight or flight, it's just flight.
No, yeah, it
Just
is.
flight.
At no point during that interaction does it like process that there is another option. He's just gonna leave. Like he's just gonna go.
Mm-hmm. Period.
again, so this match was very back and forth. We have a few moments where Triple H contemplates getting himself disqualified, only to
Mm-hmm.
remember the stipulations of the match. The culmination of this match really ends with a mistake by Marc Mero that Triple
Yes.
H capitalizes on. So
Which is dumb.
essentially, Marc Mero is going to perform the Wild Thing, his finisher, but before, oh my, yes, before he even gets up onto the top rope to do it, Triple H is already onto his feet. So the fact that he then continued to do the move, knowing that he was not in position to like receive the move, was just weird. It was just like, bad call on your part.
And it wasn't even like it was like an almost missed opportunity. Like he'd been standing for like a good 10 seconds. Like it wasn't
Right.
like he got up at the last minute and like foiled his plans or whatever. Like he literally was just standing there like, what are you doing? And he was just like, Marc Mero was like, I'm gonna go for it. And it was like,
Yeah. And
why?
he went
You
for
literally were
it
like, why?
and
Don't do
missed.
it.
And missed.
Honey,
And
missed.
which case Triple H capitalizes with the pedigree and gets the pinfall victory, thus retaining his Intercontinental Championship.
So crazy.
So it will be Triple H versus Goldust at the Royal Rumble for the championship, which we know Triple H has been running his mouth about Marlena, which we get a prime example of when he grabs the mic after the match
Mm-hmm.
and he basically just goes to Goldust. So I guess it's going to be like you and me at the Royal Rumble. You're going to find out what it's like to face like a real man. And then he turns his attention to Marlene. It's like, you're going to find out what it's like to be with a real man. And Goldust has
Gross.
the best response, in which
Best
he
response.
basically just goes, hold my weave, and like pulls off his wig and like hands it to Marlena, and then starts to like scurry down the crowd. And of course, by that point, Triple H realizes what's up and also starts hightailing it out of the arena because
Mm-hmm.
as we know, that is his specialty. He wants no part of any kind of confrontation that he is not orchestrated.
He loves to do the talk and scurry.
Oh,
Talk and scurry.
absolutely.
But the way it's so crazy because now that we've been talking about like when we were talking about Shawn Michaels and like redefining masculinity, especially in terms of wrestling, like I actually have so much love and respect for Goldust
Oh yeah.
because like he's being so good. He's being questioned about like his masculinity and not even questioned like he's being I don't know, like demoralized. Like it's just like a rude
Mm-hmm.
thing to do to somebody. And he just like literally stands up, takes off his wig, and hands it to his wife and is like,
Mm-hmm.
all right. And then like comes down the stairs in his gold, the paint, the whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of love to see it. I love to see how he's like challenging whatever that is. Like, I don't necessarily every time he's like, you're not a man, it like makes me uncomfortable. Like when Triple
Right.
H is like, we're gonna see what a real man's like. It's uncomfortable and annoying. But also I love that Goldust rises to the challenge every time and is like, okay, like if I'm not a real man, so me hitting you in the face means nothing, right? If I punched you right in the mouth, like what does that
Right.
mean?
No, every time. And I think it's just so phenomenal because it's like he's so far ahead of his time
Yeah,
because like doing this in the mid 90s is crazy because
so
we found
crazy.
out last week that clearly it is something that is like not widely accepted and going to create assumptions about his masculinity, his sexuality, his whatever, but he kind of like takes it all in stride and
Yeah,
is very much ahead of his game and just being like, no, I can still very much so be a man and just be weird. Like there is no
totally.
rules for this. And we in 2023 understand that logic. In
Yeah,
1996 though, he was that envelope exploded.
yeah.
Right.
But people love him because after that whole confrontation, he was like, started walking back up into the crowd, like to go get Marlena. And he just like stood on the steps for a minute and everyone was freaking out, was like, woo, like so excited.
Right.
But also I think it is crazy that literally the basis of this match or this feud is essentially like his sexuality.
Right.
Like that's crazy to me. It's like the
Right.
fact that like he's trying to like like scope Triple H is trying to like snipe out like Marlena from under him because he's like, you want to be with a real man, like not this weirdo. It's like,
Right.
it's weird that is like the basis of a whole feud. Like that's crazy.
And it could not be more 1996. Like, could not be more.
Totally. So weird. Can't wait to see them fight. And I hate to see Marc Mero lose again. They literally had to escort him out with like 5 referees because he was so upset.
Oh, he was
And off
fuming.
of his own mistake. Like, why? So frustrating. Like at this
Get to
point,
the
I'm
back
just
of the
like,
line, baby.
where to God. But like I also really want to see Triple H and Goldust fight. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
sorry,
I'm
Mark.
excited for that one. After that, they show us a replay from the main event last week, which was Billy and Bart
Girl.
Gunn, which ended tragically short.
The way I did not want to see that replayed as many times as they replayed it from
Oh,
every single angle. It was
absurd.
just as bad as I remember.
And they go on to tell us that he has like temporary like paralysis essentially. So like he apparently has no use of his lower extremities.
Which
None.
is insane.
Right.
And
Which is absolutely
apparently
bonkers.
he's had neck surgery in the past, which
Right.
adds a whole other layer that like he's already had injuries because they were like, well, he is injury prone. He's had neck surgery. I was like, so it's his fault for his neck
Right.
snapped against the ropes? Like Jesus. But it like it looked as bad as it did the last time we saw it. And I just like I cannot believe that. And I'm so curious to see like what's gonna happen with that. Like is he gonna come back? Like, what's the recovery time? Like, what is the? I need to know everything.
And they get Bart on the phone
Oh
kind of
yeah.
to shed some light on like the situation, and basically
Oh
he's just like, it could have happened to like either of us. It was an accident. Like,
yeah.
I've tried to reach out to Billy and his wife, like both of them are very like upset with me and
Upset.
blaming me for it. And he just ends it with like if you're like watching or listening to this, like I want you to know, like I'm sorry, like that's not how I wanted that to go down.
It was
uh
actually really sad.
well, because it was just so jarring,
Yeah.
because like we really thought he was just like fully paralyzed. Like he
Yes.
was
Oh my
not
god.
moving from for the last like 5 minutes of the episode. He was just laying in the middle of the ring with his legs just like strewn at an awkward angle. Like it just looked horrible.
Awful.
So
Ugh.
hopefully it's not a as too serious because they have described it as temporary. So
Yeah. When they said it's temporary paralysis, I was like, okay. I didn't know that was even a thing. So
neither.
thank God it's only temporary. Jesus Christ.
So we transition out of that kind of replay onto their former manager, Sunny, who comes out looking she's dressed for Christmas and
She's fine.
only the way that Sunny can dress for Christmas.
Yeah.
Uh,
Little
they just
velvet red dress, white go-go boots, little Santa hat.
yeah.
I was
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
a little underwhelmed, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, yeah. But
I was
again,
thinking like latex Santa, two-piece set,
mm,
fluffy,
like a
furry
lead
trim.
leather moment with a trim.
Yes, like very much Mean Girls. Like
Oh yes, yes, yes.
we could
And
have gone there, but she kept it tame this week.
so she will be joining us on commentary for this next match because, as we know, she has been trying to recruit Rocky Maivia. Um, I don't know how actively she's recruiting. Really, she's just been on commentary,
She
just
just
kind of
drools on the mic.
lusting after him.
Yeah,
Is what is probably a more apt description for what it is,
yeah.
because it's uncomfortable for everybody.
Everybody, it's gross.
But before the match begins, we do get a cut to the WWF carolers who hit us with a
Girl,
new tune.
you thought we'd seen the last of the WWF carolers? Think
I thought we
again.
had seen the last of them,
Think
but no.
again.
They said if we are gonna hire this choir, we are getting our money's worth.
At least
So
two.
this time they hit us with a little tune to the to the tune of Santa Claus is coming to town, but it was once again all about Psycho Sid.
Mm-hmm.
So
The way Xavier puffed off while this was going on is crazy. Like I
oh,
was like watching it and then I looked down and Xavier was like,
I was living for it because I was not expecting it, and I was like, Yes.
It was a delight. It was an unexpected delight, for sure.
So this next match is Rocky Maivia taking on Salvatore Sincere at the request of Salvatore Sincere, who has apparently not been able to get a win over Rocky Maivia, and so he has once again trying to take a stab at it.
And he's apparently being managed by Cornette,
which is very new. That wasn't
definitely new, because he definitely wasn't.
Right. That is correct.
Which I'm just saying, Salvatore, you were undefeated at one point, and now you're being managed by Cornette, and now you can't win.
Right. So what does
I'm
that
just
say?
wondering if the 1 and the 1 is equaling 2, or we're doing different math. Like, that's fine.
So what's happening here?
Uh-huh.
So Sunny is basically just panting over Rocky the entire time. Like, and she's like looping Vince into it, which is just like uncomfortable for all parties.
Even more gross.
Because like I don't really need to hear like the on-air flirting between like a 25-year-old and like a 40-year-old man. Like I just don't need to hear it. I don't care. And he's married. Very much so married.
Yeah, and even at one point Xavier was like, Vince got that wedding ring on your finger is looking extra shiny right now, buddy, because he was just saying some really icky stuff.
He was a little too smitten with Sunny's advances.
Let's
just put it that way.
They took the bit a little too far. Like right. It was like, okay, wait, now I feel it. Now I feel like I need to take a shower.
Oh, absolutely. Because at one point she goes, it is my I am known to corrupt young men, and I was like, bleh.
We were all like, what?
Stop speaking. No more.
We're like, no. And we're literally like, okay, I need to go back to church. I need to go to confessional. I need to say 3 Hail Marys just for being in the vicinity of whatever that sentence just was. I am known to corrupt young men. And then like JR, I guess, like gives her a look. And Vince, I didn't even hear what Vince said because Xavier and I were too busy going like,
no, literally, just fully gagging.
We didn't even hear what he said. But she's like, no, like, that's not what I mean. Like, ew, perverts. I wouldn't say. And it's like, what? Then what do you mean?
You are a walking innuendo. Like, get out of here.
How could I have possibly interpreted the sentence, I am known to corrupt young men?
Right.
How would I possibly have misinterpreted that?
Right.
But okay.
But sure.
Carry on.
Whatever floats to your boat.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, girl.
During this match, it was announced that next week we will see Goldust taking on Jerry the King Lawler, which seems a little bit random, but they were really both involved in that karate fighters kind of situation, and Goldust did lay hands on Jerry. So
I guess that'll be fun to watch just for laughs.
I also have a theory that we're going to see Jerry and Mero at the Rumble, so we're not quite ready to do that on TV.
Oh, okay.
So I think we're gonna just kind of be moving around these kind of 4 parts for the next couple weeks, like Goldust, Triple H, Mero, and Jerry the King.
I do love when Marc Mero says Jerry, and he goes, "You know what, Jerry?"
I know.
It really does get me going.
It's the disgust.
It's the disgust, and he really lays it in on that J. Jerry. Oh, so good.
So Rocky Maivia picks up the win with his shoulder breaker finisher, which is fine. It's probably because I know what moves he's going to incorporate into his moveset that I'm like a little let down by it every time I see it. It just doesn't look like a finisher.
Yeah, well, it's funny because even though I don't know what's coming, I was going to say I'm underwhelmed by his finisher. So I don't think it's just you, because I'm like, I literally had this thought while we were watching. I was like, why is it that?
Why is it that?
He is so talented. Like, he's so talented. He is so athletic. They were literally, and all they do is sing his praises. The kids in the front row were chanting, Rocky, Rocky. Right. Like, he is so amazing, athletic, but he's big. Like, he can be the big guy. He can be the high flyer. And then his finisher is a shoulder breaker. It's like kind of weird. Like, and I literally was like, that's kind of weird. I wonder when that's going to change, because it has to. There's no way that's the thing. So
it just isn't. It doesn't. It looks like it should just be like a move in a sequence of moves. Like, it doesn't look like, it looks like it should, like, he should do that and then lead into some kind of like submission or just something else. Like, it just
Something.
doesn't look final.
Yeah, and I guess, he's still newer, but, like, you need to move, like, Sharpshooter, Sweet Chin Music,
Right.
Power Bomb. Like, they all have that what is Mark Mero's The Wild Thing?
The
Wild Thing.
Wild
Like,
Thing. Yeah.
they're just like, and then it's just like Shoulder Breaker. It's like,
Right.
okay, Tombstone. Like, we need a little
Bring
spice,
it up to
a little zest,
yeah,
something, like,
absolutely.
for sure.
So this is still early days for Rocky Maivia.
Yeah.
So he's going to steadily improve. I have to like edit myself sometimes before like saying something. I'm like, she doesn't know that that's gonna happen yet.
Yeah, well, that actually happened to me yesterday at the should I talk about this or
Go ahead.
okay. So yesterday I was at a party with my friends and we were talking somehow we got onto the subject of the podcast and we were talking and someone asked me like, okay, like where you're at watching, like who is the champion? And I was like, oh, Psycho Sid is the champion. And he's like, oh, he beat Shawn Michaels. Like, you knew this guy, like, knew his WWF, and he started talking about like other things. And I was like, wait, no. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I have to stop you because I actually really don't want spoilers if I can help it. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, yeah, I just like the genuine shock of finding things out is enjoyable to me. And like I don't want to like some things I just find of
Right,
it's
because
my
it's
own
on the
volition.
internet. Right.
Yes, but like as long as I can help it, I try not to engage
I
in
love
the
that
spoilers.
because it's so fun to see you experience things like for the first time. And
Mhm.
like, granted, I know like watching something that's like 30 years old is it's hard to avoid like a spoiler,
Yeah,
but because it's 30 years old, it's not like there's that many people discussing it on the everyday.
right.
Because we're always talking about it, but
Mhm.
like it we have at least got enough of a buffer that we can like hopefully protect you for long enough.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So we transition out of that match into an interview with the World Heavyweight Champion Sid, who comes out, takes his sweet time coming to the
Oh my
ring.
god.
Yeah, this time it's going to be Vince conducting the interview. He basically goes on to list the accolades that Sid has accomplished over the last month or so, in which case, namely beating Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart in successful title defenses. So it's pretty much just like a standard Psycho Sid like interview,
Yeah.
minus the fact that they played his music over the entire thing, which made it really difficult to hear, especially when he goes into that like Psycho Sid whispering thing.
Mhm.
Um, because I didn't grasp any of it, and
Not a single word.
neither did the subtitles because I watch everything with subtitles, and it just was like indistinguishable, like just no idea
No.
what he said
That is
in the
so funny.
middle of his promo. But it was very much, Master and the Ruler, and then he goes on to say that he's going to be 6'9", 300 pounds from this day forward, in a very obvious statement that confused us
Yeah.
all.
It was a weird one.
Right,
'Cause, it was one of those moments where I was like, "We could have done that in the locker room. We
right.
didn't have to come out here. We didn't have to pay for the pyrotechnics." When the pyrotechnics came out, I was like, "Is he wrestling? Like, what's happening right now?" And then he took the mic, said some nonsense, and that was it.
Yeah,
Like, there wasn't I was like, "Is he issuing a challenge to somebody?" But no, they can't be because we already know who he's wrestling at the Royal
right.
Rumble. And it wasn't even like he singled out Shawn Michaels specifically, though they did show a clip where Shawn Michaels was in the back
Just like
watching.
rolling his eyes and like,
Yeah, it was so funny. He was wearing like backwards hat that said Heartbreak Kid, and he's just like pouting with his like leg up on the bench, like
right.
watching. But it was kind of like, I don't know, nothing I haven't heard before.
No, exactly.
For all the pomp and circumstance.
It was just very much like a copy paste of
Yeah,
previous
for
promos.
sure,
Like, it
for sure.
wasn't. He's like, you can copy my work, but just like make it look a little different.
Like
Like,
change a few words. Like, I don't know.
right. Um. So, eh,
It's
and
fine.
that's kind of how I am with Sid generally. Like,
Yeah.
in the ring, great. He does what he's supposed to do. He's a giant monster. He looks impressive. All that great stuff.
Yeah.
Every time he talks, I'm just like, ugh.
He is very much a body language wrestler. Like,
Correct.
because when he set somebody up to do the power bomb, the way he's like and like looks around at everybody with those like huge bug eyes, like you're like,
Hmm.
oh my god, he's gonna do it. Like that gets you hype. And it's kind of
Absolutely.
like I don't know, I just his body language to me and the way he wrestles, he's just physical. Like that's just the
Yes.
cell of him. But like every time he speaks, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And every once in a while you get a little nugget of like a gold promo, but it's only like 30 seconds. Like he gets like
Right.
minimal time and it's perfect. But this was like a whole segment for
Right.
what?
And it's just like it's hard for me to accept that from the world heavyweight champion.
Yes, that is such a good point.
You
Like
know what I
you
mean?
expect this person to almost give like valedictorian vibes. Like they can just do like they're good at every subject. They can do
Exactly.
everything. Like they're high-fiving people in the hallway. Like I don't know. Like it just and it
That's what
doesn't give
I
that.
that's exactly, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you're gonna be the guy,
Mhm.
being the guy involves a lot of promos and interviews as well as the match stuff. So if you can't do like 2/3 of what the expectation of being the champion is, it's just like it always just feels like okay.
Yeah. And I'm so curious too because I'm sure like as champion he has to do a lot of like extra like does he have to do like extra meet and greets? Does he have to do more like press tours or like things like that? I'm sure. I'm so curious as to how he is during those. Like I
Right?
would love to know. Like I'm assuming he has to be in character the whole time obviously, but like I'm just so
Right.
curious as to how that day goes down.
Right. Do you mean like seeing him on like live with like Regis and whoever it was before Kelly? Um
Who was it before Kelly? Kelly was the
God,
only one that mattered. Let's be real. Sorry.
you're not wrong. That's why they gave her the show.
Duh.
Um
Okay.
so so we'll see more of Sid. More of Sid on the road to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But hopefully he comes up with something new to say.
Please
Just
God.
something. Or
I would
maybe
love
just like
that.
actually address your opponent. That would have been cool too.
That's what I'm saying. Like at least like say something, like start like, shit talking or something. Like he's watching. They made it a whole point to say that he was watching, and then they were like, he's like, yeah, I power bombed some people. I'm the ruler of the universe. It's
And you're
like,
like, okay.
okay, well,
Yeah,
I guess
I didn't know that that exactly equates, but sure.
sure,
Sure.
whatever.
So after that, we get a tag team match featuring some competitors that are going to be in the Royal Rumble. We see Piroth and Cybernetico of the AAA organization from Mexico taking on the New Rockers, who are apparently still together. Who knew? Because we've been seeing them each fight individually, and neither of them fight for a title at all.
No, they have been flying under the radar
Yes,
as soloists. I
competitors. Yeah,
I don't know. It's been a weird time for them.
yeah. So this match features Mil Mascaras, which is like 1,000 masks, is what it means in Spanish. On
Mm,
commentary, he is a huge wrestler in Mexico. He uh is famous not just like in Mexico, but because he has like he's really one of the first ones to have like graduate from there and like into the WWF. So he's
wow.
just kind of really well known. And he joins the Spanish announce team. So let me get a little bit of him on commentary.
So cool.
Right, very cool,
Love
very
it.
cool. And I think it's a great way to feature a another organization that's going to be helping out the Royal Rumble because as we know right now, the WWF is very thin as far as like roster goes. They don't
Yeah.
have a deep roster at this current
Mhm.
state. So to pull off a match where they need 30 competitors, they're gonna have to kind of outsource, or at least at this time.
Yeah. I mean, and this was, I think, the first Mexican masked wrestlers that I have seen since we've started, like actually
Yes.
wrestling,
Hmm,
which
hmm,
was
hmm.
awesome.
And I think JR did a really good job of kind of explaining uh
Yeah.
the like Mexican wrestling kind of like in a nutshell.
Mhm.
Basically he goes on to just explain like why the mask is important, why it's
Mhm.
part of like their culture, and how really that is like the only place in the world where that is the mask being such an important thing is that's the only
Mhm.
place where it's really like featured.
Yeah.
Because you, as like as a luchador, like if you get like unmasks, it's like a disgrace. Like it is, and it is like a very big taboo to like go after somebody's mask. It's a very, it's
Hmm.
just a highly respected thing in Mexico.
Hmm. When we were, I'll never forget when we watched an episode, like this was years ago, like the burgeoning the seeds of the podcast. I was like
Right.
watching an episode with you, and I don't remember if it was a pay-per-view. I'm assuming it was, but there was like there were ladders, there were things. I don't even
Right.
know. But I remember it was a tag team match, and it was Mexican wrestlers. And I didn't know who they were, I didn't know what was
Oh,
happening, but I
I think I
remember,
know who. I think
I'm sure
it's
he was
Ray
demasked.
Phoenix and
Yes, probably.
Pentagon. Yeah.
And he was demasked. People were spitting. Like people got up and were like, like people were pissed.
Right.
Big pissed at this guy. Like the other guy on the other team came over and like ripped his mask off. This guy, and he was like freaking out. Like it was
Yeah,
crazy.
it's a very, very big deal. And
Yeah.
which acts as can act as like a weakness for a lot of these wrestlers.
Mm,
Because if you have somebody that really doesn't care, they will go after it. They
oh
will
my
go
God.
after it. And if you're spending more time focused on not getting your mask taken off and instead of wrestling the match, you're gonna lose. You're
Wow.
gonna lose. So it acts as both like a great sense of like pride, but it could also act as kind of like a crutch.
Wow.
So
Oh my God, that's crazy.
this match was very competitive. They're both high flying teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of that going on. Kind of back, it was very back and forth. Really, the Rockers didn't really do too much during this, but
Mm,
the whole point really is to feature these new wrestlers that we don't know. So
mm-hmm.
they end up winning the match, and then it goes into an interview with Mil Mascaras on the outside, and he gives the cutest little promo after where
Really
he's basically
sweet.
just I'm so excited to be like wrestling in like San Antonio. I've wrestled all over the world. Like this is like a great opportunity for me, and like I plan on going out there and like showing the world what I can do. And I was just like, it was just so nice. You're just like,
So
what
sweet.
a pleasant man.
Really, he has just the sweetest voice. He just seems so genuinely happy to be there. And like I think JR also again like did such a good job interviewing him. And it
Oh,
was like brief but like well done, well spoken, like 10 out
mhm.
of 10.
Absolutely. So we go from that just gem of a man
Hmm.
into what is quite possibly the most abrasive man that ever
Oh
lived,
my
the Honky Tonk Man.
girl, who
And this
is
is the
this?
first time you've ever seen the Honky Tonk Man. And so his whole character is just an Elvis impersonator. That's his
No,
thing.
no kidding. I
No thing. He looks like he should be straight up just marrying people in Vegas, like as we speak.
absolutely.
Kelsey asks at one point during his entrance, how many Elvises is too many Elvises for one jumpsuit?
There were at
Because
least 5 on this one jumpsuit. There was a Cadillac car in the back, and the Cadillac was filled with Elvises.
mhm.
Why? What are we doing?
So the Honky Tonk Man calls himself the greatest intercontinental champion to ever live, and he has a pretty solid claim to that.
Does he?
He Yes,
I find that so hard to
he
believe. No
was
offense.
the longest reigning intercontinental champion until 2023. His
Wait,
record just got beat this year.
what?
Yes, fam. Yeah,
That is crazy.
I know.
How long was he the Intercontinental Champion?
I think 2 years. 2 years. Yeah, because right now the intercontinental champion is Gunther, and he just passed it. Like he just passed the Honky Tonk Man's record.
2 years is long.
2 years is a long time.
That's a long time in wrestling. That's
That's
a lot
practically
of
like an
weeks.
eternity. So
No,
he does
literally.
have a lot of claim to that
He does.
statement.
I take it back. I'm sorry, Honky Tonk Man. That's my bad. That's my bad. I'm
That's my
sorry.
bad.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't get me
Props.
wrong. He's plenty obnoxious. Like, don't like he's that.
He's still awful. Yeah.
There's a lot to not like about the Honky Tonk Man, but
Wow.
he does. I will give him that.
Damn.
Hmm.
All right, sir. My bad.
So he joins the commentary table for this next match, and essentially he says that he's looking for somebody to kind of act as like his successor, somebody who is going to do all of the things that the Honky Tonk Man did and just bring it to the next level. That's why he's out there. Seems kind of random, but sure.
The way he speaks in third person, number one, is crazy. He goes, "Well, the Honky Tonk Man
Oh yeah, he
is
does speak in the third
is
person.
looking for like the next biggest Honky Tonk Man," and I was like, "What?" But I just have to say, he said he needs to be able to sing, play guitar, and wrestle. And I was like, "Tell me this is going to be Double J.
Tell me.
Tell me he's recruiting Double J right now." That's what I really thought was going to happen. Is like, and I'm announcing I'm managing Jesse
Right.
James. Like, I really thought that's what was
I mean,
happening.
it's the only one that fits right now.
Because why would you say sing and play guitar? Who else is doing that right now?
Not a soul.
Not a soul. I'm like, it's unless you're getting the choir members out here. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I was like, it has to be, I guess, unless there's somebody who's got a hidden talent we don't know about yet. But
so the Honky Tonk Man was talking trash on everybody. He had his 2 cents to say about Bret Hart losing the championship. He was like, he lost. He should just say he lost.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say that Shawn Michaels like doesn't have it. And if you've ever seen Shawn Michaels,
he's got a lot of it.
He's got a lot of it. He's got it in spades. Like this man
in excess.
Right. He is argued as the best wrestler to ever do it constantly. It is an art. Like his name is constantly in that conversation.
And I've never heard of you, Honky Tonk Man, until just now. Let's talk.
So our main event was Fake Razor taking on Bret the Hitman Hart, who has taken on a new attitude, as we found out last week. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the rules. He doesn't care to play nice. And it showed in the way that he wrestled. He was a lot more aggressive. There was a lot more like closed fists. There was a lot more reluctancy to let go of holds. So we're seeing the kind of evolution of Bret Hart into something else than what we've been accustomed to. So we're not going to see calm, cool, and collected anymore. I'm telling you.
I love that about him, though. I want to see the dark side of Bret Hart. I'm ready.
So this match was also very back and forth, although Razor did control like a good chunk of like the middle of the match, which I was not expecting. To be fair,
it's not canon.
Not canon. Not what we wanted.
Not canon.
Not my Razor Ramon.
That's what. Not my Fake Razor. It just was like, since when?
Right.
Since when are you landing all these moves?
100%.
On the excellence of execution.
But
fine.
Yeah,
fine.
Right.
Whatever.
But at the end of the day, Bret Hart throws on the sharpshooter and gets the submission victory, as he should.
And I love to see them submit. I do. Because that's like degrading, actually. Like, it's actually
it is.
Really degrading to have to submit.
Especially when we have like two competitors who are known as being submission people. Ooh. They both get into this like kind of mindset of like, I'm going to win this match via submission. It tends to happen pretty naturally. Like because they're both, that's normally their bread and butter. So like when you see somebody like I feel like we should have seen that kind of in when we saw Bret versus like Owen.
Oh my God, we should have. I feel robbed now.
Right.
No, but robbed.
It is something that tends to happen naturally with those kinds of like wrestlers, where it becomes like they want to go the extra mile and like make them like tap out. There is something about like making your opponent tap out that like gives you the extra like gives you the extra like bragging rights. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you tap out the tap out guy. Like, that's like the guy that normally When you make the
It
submission
puts the
guy
hurt on
submit,
people. Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. That's like
Yeah.
next level. Oh, that would have been so sick.
I
Okay, looking
know.
forward to that. I do have to say, this match, I'm shocked that there was like no interferences. The only interference we got was from Honky Tonk Man. Girl,
Right.
like the way Bret Hart is involved in so many people's beefs right now, and
Mhm.
not a soul popped out.
I know.
Nobody. I'm shocked. I was like, the only reason we talked about this last week. I was like, the only reason they're having this match is because somebody
I
wants to get out there and ruin it. Like
I
that's it.
really, really thought that was gonna.
No, we just had the Honky Tonk Man
Where was
match.
Stone Cold? Where
Oh,
was Stone Cold during this episode?
this whole episode. There
I
were
was like,
so many times he could have come out.
and also, mind you, whether this man has had a match or not, he has been apparent in almost every segment of everything. He didn't have a match on the pay-per-view. He came out like 3 times. He didn't have a match on like the Raw before the pay-per-view. Like what he was in every segment. Like the stunning lack of Steve Austin was very noticeable.
Very noticeable because I kept waiting for it. I was like, hello?
And
No? Okay.
but that's the thing. Like I feel like that's also like part of the fun of him is just like
yeah,
he'll do it when he wants to.
I know. I
But
get it.
I would have loved to see that continue.
That would have been great. Anybody.
So after that match, while Bret Hart is kind of doing his little celebratory thing in the ring, it cuts to Shawn Michaels backstage watching the match,
Being a
and
brat.
boy is he just being so ridiculous.
A bratty teenage boy.
Oh,
How was
for
school today?
sure.
Fine.
They were like, so what is
nothing?
honestly, like, I don't want to talk to you.
I swear.
Vince asks Shawn Michaels, oh, like, what do you make of Bret Hart's victory? He's like, what do I make of his victory? Like, what? Like, I didn't think that was gonna happen. Like, what would you like me to say? And he's just like, okay. He's like, and then he's like, oh, so we're getting closer to your match with Psycho Sid. Like, and Shawn's just like, yeah. And it's like,
great. You know the schedule.
100%. And then at one point he's just like, at one point, Vince McMahon points out that Shawn Michaels is different than the other competitors, or like has a different mentality. And Shawn's just like, in all this experience that you have with me, you are just now putting that together. Boy, you are a genius, Vince. You are truly just one for the books.
Which, by the way, the entire time his back was to like the camera. And like, what?
Like, could not be bothered.
Very astute observation, Vince. Like he was just like it was so good. It was so good. The sarcasm.
It was hilarious. I live for that man. And then so finally he like turns around at the end. He's like, well, I don't make excuses. Bret can't say that. So all I can say as far as Sid is concerned is I need to be prepared for anything, and I will be prepared for anything. And I'm gonna, like, if I lose, I'm gonna lose like a man. But let's be honest, that's not gonna happen. So I'm gonna win like a man. And that's how they ended.
So good. And yeah, then the episode just ended so good. I do want to point out that you pointed this out to me, and then once I noticed it, I could not unnotice it. The amount of times they said attitude this episode.
Yes.
And I was like, my God. And he was like, yeah, they are literally setting it up to call this the Attitude Era. So they're like literally dropping that little, it's like propaganda, literally dropping that word everywhere. Bret Hart has a new attitude. Wow, I've never seen, this kind of attitude on him before. Like, but for everyone.
Right, because it was everyone. Like Stone Cold has an attitude, Bret Hart has an attitude, Shawn Michaels has an attitude, and
wow, the attitude on that guy.
Right. And so they're making a point, and especially like if you think about how all of a sudden the storylines have gone from like, wrestler A, wrestler B, conflict, pay-per-view match. It's now like all of the storylines are now intertwined with each other. They're like, everything's getting like a little bit more complicated, and then which is causing just kind of everybody to get kind of upset. So like this whole attitude shift is taking place very shortly. But they're making a point of putting it into the viewer's mind, like, this is the direction we're headed. This is where we're going. This is where we're going. You're going to come with us. And it's something that like, you don't really think about, or like I wouldn't have noticed watching it the first time unless I knew what I know now. So now that I know that like that's the direction that not now. I know that that's the direction they're going. You can kind of see them starting to like plant the seeds and just they're planting a bunch of seeds and just gonna see what grows.
I love it.
Right. It's gonna be
So good.
fantastic.
Wow. So exciting.
Amen. All right, guys. So that has been another edition of the New to Wrestling podcast. As always, we would like to thank you for watching us, for taking the time out of your holiday weekend last week to interact with us.
Yeah, we hope we
Um,
gave you a good excuse to take a break from your family if you needed it. Like, I
oh,
gotta watch this, excuse me.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. We will catch you next week.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.